Alright, we are on day 4.5, graph using slope-intercept form. Yesterday you guys took your quiz. I will finish. I have a couple people that have to finish theirs up, but I will get those back to you as soon as possible. Mainly I'll give it to you Monday. Go ahead and start your warm-up. I got to do attendance. So we'll get your warm-up real quick, not talking to your neighbor, and we're going to go over it in just a second. Number 1, rewrite 5x plus y equals 8. So y is a function of x. When they say that, all they're wanting is our answer to be y equals, and we want y to be positive and to be by itself. So what do I do to 5x plus y equals 8? What am I going to do to solve this? Caitlin?
Move the 5x over to where the 8x is.
Okay, so how do I do that?
You subtract 5x.
Good. This is a positive 5x, so I'm going to minus 5x. And this side I still have y. And we are going to be in the habit of having our x first. That's going to be very important to today's lesson because we're going to work with slope-intercept form. So I'm going to write this as y equals negative 5x plus 8. I will tell you now that we're going over slope-intercept form and we tell you x comes first and then that number, if you do it backwards, you lose half a point. So I know we could say, well, because of the commutative property of addition, you could switch them around, but not for our formula, how it has to be written. Number 2. Find the slope of the line that passes through negative 5, 6, and 0, 8. How do I find slope? Brianna?
Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus.
Perfect. So we find slope by y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we're going to go ahead and put them in here. 8 minus 6 all over 0 minus negative 5. 8 minus 6 is 2. 0 minus negative 5 is? Good. Let's see if anyone got it wrong. It is a whole 5. We're minusing a negative, which means adding a positive. Number 3. Find the intercepts of the graph of the function a equals 20t minus 600. Okay? So we have to find the intercepts. Let's not get confused with the fact that they've used a and t. We can just think of this as y and x still. So if I'm thinking of it that way, but I'm still going to answer because they use these variables, I'm still going to think my a-intercept, and I could say, what was that letter they used?
T.
T. We could say t-intercept, and we have to find what they are, or what are the coordinates. How do you think I do that? Brianna?
To find the t-intercept, you have a as 0.
Very good. So when I find intercept, the other one is equal to 0. So I'm finding the a-intercept, and I'm going to make that. So a is going to come for, let's see, a is my y, this is my x. So I'm going to set x to 0. So I would say a equals 20 times 0 minus 600. 20 times 0 is 0. So a's intercept is negative 600. And you can honestly, instead of, even if it didn't ask you for the coordinates, you can just say a's intercept is negative 600. So to do t's intercept, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to set a to 0. Now this one requires a little bit more work. I'm going to say 0 equals 20t minus 600. I have to get my variables on opposite sides, so I'm going to add 600 to both sides of my equal sign. So I have 600 equals 2t. Aaron, following along. If you and Sean need to move, we can do that. Oh, thank you. That would have made a difference. 20t. And then we have to divide by 20. Oh, I did it again. Sometimes. And we do 600 divided by t, or 20. T equals 30. Good. You can think about crossing those zeros off. 60 divided by 2 is 30. So it is 30. Alright, today's learning goal is I can translate an equation into a graph using slope-intercept form. I actually like slope-intercept form because, to me, once we solve for it, it's one of the easiest to graph. We will end up printing something like this off. I'll hand it to us next week, and we're going to kind of update our spiral notebook. Remember, the reason that we keep our spiral notebook up to date is so when we get to our tests and our quizzes, that it's something to review. It's quick and easy for us to see. But finding slope in the y-intercept of a line. Once I know the slope in the y-intercept, I can graph a line. It's very, very simple. A linear equation of the form y equals mx plus b is written in slope-intercept form, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So when I look right here, this is what they're talking about. We have this, and remember when we use m and we use b, I've had a lot of students that get confused, like there's so many letters. Remember, this is just standard for the equation. Once we actually put numbers into them, it's just remember, hey, m stood for slope, so whatever number is there is your slope. These variables can change. They're not set in stone that they have to be a set number. So this slope, this is why we wrote our equation right here like we did. This is in slope-intercept form. Right now, I know this is our y-intercept, and I know this is now my slope. Because of that one, I can graph this. And some of you right now might not know how, but after today, in order for you to say, I was successful today, you should be able to do this. If we look at this graph, I'm going to zoom in for us to see how they did this. They gave us the slope-intercept y equals 1/3 x plus 1. The first thing you do is we list the coordinate for the y-intercept. Our y-intercept is our b, or in our case it was +1. So that tells me my y-intercept, its coordinates, x is 0, y is 1. This is our y line right here, our axis. So I go up 1, and remember, intercept means where it's crossed the line. So that dot has crossed our y at 0, 1. They even have the coordinates set. Now comes the easiest part. Slope, or that we know it as its m, is rise over run. Which means your numerator is going to tell me if I'm going up or down. And your denominator says, do I go left or right? I rise when it's a positive number. I go down when it's a negative number. I go right when it's positive. I go left when it's negative. So from here it said 1/3. You're going to go up one line, and then I go over 3. 1, 2, 3. That is a new coordinate that fits with our y slope, or with our slope. Because of our slope-intercept form, this would be on that line guaranteed. I could write this coordinate now as 1, 2, 3, 2. I could do another one. Go up 1 and 1, 2, 3. And that one would be at, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 3. And then we have our line. So we're going to practice this. First, we have to identify the slope and the y-intercept. So when you read your problems, make sure you're answering everything it's asking you to. Identify the slope and the y-intercept. So I know right away I'm going to ask m equals y-intercept equals. The very first equation they give us is the easiest. Y equals 3x plus 4. Is this in slope-intercept form already? Sweet, I have hardly any work to do.
Yay.
What is my slope? What would be my slope? Joshua? Just 3. We don't have to say 3x, but it's just the 3. It's m. M was replaced by 3. It came right before x. So we say our slope is 3. Real quick, because I know this gets some people in a problem. We just said slope was rise over run. I only have one number here. So remember, if I have a whole number, what is your run going to be?
1.
Just 1. Because I can write this either way. I can write 3 whole as 3 over 1. They're equal. But remember, in math, we always simplify everything we can. So 3 over 1 just becomes 3, and we know as mathematicians I should have it on there 1. What's my y-intercept? Briggs? 4. Those are your two answers, and you are done.
Yay.
Now, on B, I'm going to go ahead and say my slope was 3, and I'm going to say my y-intercept is 2. Would I be incorrect in saying that?
No.
Why am I incorrect? Why is this answer wrong? Because, wait a minute, you told me slope was right before x. There's 3. Y-intercept is the number. It's 2. How am I wrong? Aiden?
Because, like, the 3 has an x by it, so it needs to be multiplied by, or added to y to get to, so it couldn't just
Kinda.
you need to move the 3x over by the 2x
Good,
to
Caitlin.
make it negative.
Is this slope-intercept form?
No.
Remember, slope-intercept form has to be y equals mx plus b. This is actually what I just went over with my algebra class today. This is going to be standard form. We're not okay with that right now. So, Caitlin said, I have to minus 3x. So now I have y minus 3x plus 2. Y equals negative 3x plus 2. That is now in my standard form. Or, standard form. That is now in my slope-intercept form. Now, what is my y-intercept? Whew, I would have got lucky. It would have stayed the same. What's my slope?
Negative 3.
Negative 3. On this one, I would have caught a break where I would have got one of the two right, and it's because all I had to do is one-step equation, move the x over. You are going to have to see, you have to apply what we've been learning with solving equations, because sometimes I'll have like 4y, or I'll have other equations that I have to be working on. Now, what if we have a graph? Okay, now I don't have it in y equals mx plus b, even though I'm going to continually write that down so I get that in my head. That is slope form. Identify the slope. So it's asking me, number one, what is my slope? What is my y-intercept? I'm looking at my graph. Is there anything I know right away just looking at this graph? What's that, Hassan?
Is it 1 and -1?
Is what 1 and -1? Maybe. Let's talk about what I see for sure. The easiest one when we look at a graph is our y-intercept. Here's my y-axis. Where does my line cross my y-axis? Jackson?
0.03.
It crosses at 0.3 right here. So my y-intercept is 3. Remember, if you wanted to write the coordinates down, you could. Okay, so we have that. Now I'm going to zoom in to help you with slope. There's two ways I could do this. One is a longer way, mathematically, and it works. I think it was Brianna that told us that slope, she told us slope was y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, knowing that information, I could look at here and go left to right. Here's point 1, here's point 2. So I could go ahead and say this is y2 right here. That is my y1. This one's my x2. That's my x1. And I could do that equation and solve it. In fact, I'm going to do that just to show you how that works. So I'm going to say -1 minus 3 all over 1 minus 0. 1 minus 3 is -4. 1 minus 0 is 1. So my slope is -4. Okay. That should have worked. I should be done. The other thing I can do is I can look at my graph and I want to identify where does this line, not that line, I'm trying to move my board down. Where does, I'm going to use purple, here's my line. Where does my line cross 2 points real easily? Like here, it crossed at 0.3. I'm going to follow my line. Do I know that point perfect, what the coordinates are? No, so I'm looking for a good one. No, it's the other one that was marked. Here's what I can do. I now start at my first point, which is left to right, it's right here. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to look at my rise and run. Am I going to go up or down?
Down.
I'm going to go down, so I know my runs or my rise is going to be negative, and I'm going to say I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm now on that same line, and then how many do I have to go to the right? 1. My slope is -4 over 1. Whoa, way too soon. Or it just stayed as -4. So if you have a graph, instead of doing the subtraction with your coordinate points, you can find 2 points on your line that cross easy coordinates, whole numbers, no fractions, no decimals, and then just count it. Let's look at number 2. And we're going to do it the easy way. I'm going to look for slope and y-intercept. Alright, so the first part, where's my y-intercept? Everyone should be able to be answering me this because this is what you're going to do on your own. Alex, I haven't heard from you. What's up? What's your y-intercept? Good. It's right down here. So I check. Make sure you check your scales. -1, 2, 3. My y-intercept is -3. Remember, if you want to say the coordinates, 0, -3. Okay. I'm then going to look at that y-intercept, and I'm going to follow this line to a point where it crosses even. It looks like it's right here. Oh, which happened to be my x-intercept. So now I'm thinking rise over run. How many from this point do I have to go up?
3.
3? Let's check. 1, 2, 3. Good, I'm on that same line. So it's 3, and it's a positive 3 because we went up. My run is how many?
4.
1, 2, 3, 4. That is my slope. This is my y-intercept. So, I love when I see that. Can I take this now and write this as a slope-intercept equation? Y equals mx plus b. Do I know anything? Okay, we don't know y yet. We're going to say y equals, do I know the m? Do I know the slope? Slope is what?
3/4.
Okay, so I'm going to say 3/4 x. Do I know my y-intercept?
Yes.
It's -3. Okay, so this says plus b. I could write plus -3, or you just say
-3.
-3. And now I'm set. I can do any other points on that line, because if I say x is 17, I put 17 in here and I solve, and whatever y is the y coordinate that matched with it. Go ahead right now. I'm going to pause. Do number 3 and 4. This should not take you long. Okay, coming back to this. Number 3 should have been the very easy one. If you're not done, that's okay. I'm just going to start on the next one. If you're not quite done, it's fine. But looking at number 3, what was either our slope or the y-intercept? I know which one I go to first, but I might be different than you. Which one did you think was the easiest one to identify? Jackson?
The slope was 3/4.
Okay. Slope, perfect. Because we're already in slope-intercept form, we know that it is 1/4. Perfect. What was our y-intercept? This is the one I think most people are going to get half credit on because they're going to make an easy mistake. Oh, what's someone I haven't heard from? Braden, I haven't heard from you. What do you got? What do you think the y-intercept is?
Number 3,
Good. -2 is correct. How many people just put 2? No one did? Okay. So that's okay. That's actually one of the biggest mistakes I think we're going to make, where we see the 2, so we just say it. But remember, in our slope-intercept form, it is plus a b. So if it's plus a number, that is a positive. But if it says negative, that negative sign or subtraction sign goes with it. Okay, number 4. What did you have to do before we could identify slope or intercept?
Put it in slope-intercept form.
Good. So I'm going to add 2x to each side. We then divide each side by 3. And we would have got y here. What do I do when I have 2x divided by 3? What would that become? Alexander? Good. We just leave it as that fraction. 2/3 x. And positive 9 divided by 3 is plus 3. We now have the equation y equals 2/3 x plus 3. What is our slope?
I can answer it.
Sean, what's our slope?
2 over 3.
Good, just 2 over 3. And what is our y-intercept, Andrew?
3.
Just 3. Huh? Okay, next one. We're almost done. And this first thing says graph. This is standard form, so can I do that for graphing? We have to change it to, we want to change this to what?
Y-intercept.
Good. We want to change it to y equals x plus b. How do I get it to y equals x plus b? What do I have to do to this one? I have y minus x equals negative 3. Briggs? Good. Let's add our x. And I will get y equals x plus 3. Can I graph this now? Let's still do our work. What's my slope? If I said y equals x plus 3, what is my slope? Caitlin?
1.
It's 1. There's only one x, so my slope is 1. Or, for those that need to see, it's going to be 1 over 1. And what is my y-intercept?
3.
Good. Oh, I made a mistake, guys. I'm sorry. Do not change your sign. I did. That was a negative 3 before. So we have y equals x minus 3. What is my y-intercept? Negative 3. Okay? When you go to graph these, first step is to mark your y-intercept. 1, 2, 3. We went to negative 3. Then we do our slope. Rise 1, run 1. Rise 1, run 1. Rise 1, run 1. I can do that as many times as I want. Usually the best is to do it 3 times. I am then going to make my line between the points. And you are done. Number 3. What is my slope? Is this already in slope-intercept form, or do I have to change it?
It's already in.
Oh man, so this is an easy one.
Yay.
What's my slope?
Negative 30.
Negative. And then my y-intercept was 4. Boys, Andrew. Okay, here's an important thing I need to show you about slope, though, because it's a negative 2/3. A question I have, is there a difference when I say negative 2/3, a negative 2 over 3, and a 2 over a negative 3?
No. Yes.
Sort of. They all equal a negative, which is okay. When I have the negative here, I have to decide which one am I distributing it to. Which number is going to be when I'm doing slope. So, here's what I'm going to show you. It's not going to matter Whether I say it's a negative 2 over a positive 3 or a positive 2 over a negative 3. And here's why. Our y-intercept is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If our slope was negative 2, 3, that means I go down 2, right? Down 2, 1, 2, and positive 3 means run 3. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay? If it would have been positive 2, negative 3, I would have went up 2, 1, 2, and over 3. 1, 2, 3. I would have been somewhere over there. Would that still fit on that slope line?
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as you're only doing it on one of them. When it's negative 2/3, it's not negative 2 over negative 3. Do not do both of them as negative. A negative fraction means only your numerator or your denominator is the negative number. In this, doing slope, it doesn't matter which one. So when I did my line, I don't know what's going on with that, but we would always see it there. I can continue to do negative 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And it would have been on that point. Okay? Alright, we're not going to grab. Oh. No, we're not going to. It's okay. Your homework